The Thanksgiving table was set for 12. Turkey stuffing, 3 types of pie. Mom had outdone herself. My sister Brianna sat at Dad's right, her fiancé Kyle beside her, both glowing with excitement. Extended family filled the other chairs. Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, cousins I saw once a year. And me at the far end where I'd always sat. Dad stood up, wine glass in hand. Before we eat, I have an announcement. He smiled at Brianna. Your sister is getting married in June. The wedding venue she wants is $75,000. Everyone applauded. Brianna beamed. We've been thinking about how to make this happen, Dad continued. And we've come up with a solution. We're selling Natalie's apartment building. I carefully set down my fork. The property has appreciated significantly, Dad went on, pulling out a folder. He'd prepared a presentation for Thanksgiving dinner. Current market value is around $2.1 million. After selling costs, we're looking at about $1.9 million net. More than enough for the wedding, plus we can upgrade Brianna and Kyle's honeymoon to that Mediterranean cruise they wanted. Brianna squealed. Kyle raised his glass. Wait, Aunt Linda said. Natalie's apartment? I thought she rented. No, the family owns the building, Mom explained. It's been in our name since Grandpa died. Natalie lives in 1 unit but we rent out the other 5. It's been a good investment, but now it's time to cash out for something important. I took a sip of water, saying nothing. We've already contacted a realtor, Dad said. She thinks we can list next week, have offers by January. The building's in a hot neighborhood, should sell fast. Natalie, you'll need to start packing. We'll give you until February to find a new place. That's more than fair. Very generous, Uncle Tom agreed. Brianna turned to me, all sympathy. I know this is sudden, Nat, but you understand, right? It's my wedding. And honestly, that neighborhood isn't even that safe. You'll find something better. My phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, a notification from my property management app. The November rent payments had cleared. All 5 tenant units on time as always. I looked up. Everyone was watching me, waiting for my reaction. Can I see that folder? I asked Dad. He handed it over, looking pleased that I was being reasonable. Inside was a printout from a real estate website showing comparable sales, a preliminary listing agreement, even paint color suggestions for staging. Very thorough. Except for one thing. This is interesting, I said. But I'm confused about something. What's that, honey? Mom asked. Who exactly owns this building? Dad frowned. The family does. I just explained that. Right, but specifically. Whose name is on the deed? It's family property, Dad said, his voice taking on that edge that meant he didn't like being questioned. From your grandfather. Grandpa Joe died 8 years ago, I said. He left me $100,000. Not a building. Gosh. I have the will if you want to see it. The table went quiet. Don't be ridiculous, Mom said. You were 22 when he died. You couldn't have bought a building. You're right, I couldn't have. Not then. I pulled out my phone. But 6 years ago, when I was 24, I purchased the 6-unit apartment building at 847 Riverside Drive for $890,000. I used Grandpa's inheritance as part of the down payment and financed the rest through a commercial property loan, which I paid off 3 years ago. Brianna laughed nervously. Natalie, what are you talking about? You work at a nonprofit. You make like $35,000 a year. I work at a nonprofit I founded, I corrected. I'm the executive director. My salary is $35,000 because the organization is still building its endowment. My actual income comes from my property investments and consulting work. Last year, about $340,000. Uncle Tom nearly choked on his wine. This is absurd, Dad said, his face reddening. Stop making things up. My phone buzzed again. Perfect timing. That's actually the title company calling me back. I requested confirmation of ownership this morning when I saw your calendar reminder about Thanksgiving announcement building sale. I'd noticed it last week when I borrowed Mom's iPad. Should I put them on speaker? Natalie, enough with this fantasy, Mom snapped. We're trying to help your sister. I answered the call and tapped speaker. Hello, this is Natalie Chin. Miss Chin, this is Robert Pacheco from Riverside Title. I have the documentation you requested confirming ownership of the property at 847 Riverside Drive. The table was silent. Thank you, Robert. My family is here. They have some questions about ownership. Can you confirm who the legal owner of record is? Certainly. The property is owned by Chin Property Holdings LLC, with you listed as the sole member and managing director. The deed was recorded 6 years ago, and the property lien was satisfied and released 3 years ago, showing full ownership. Would you like me to email the complete chain of title? That would be perfect. Thank you, Robert. Happy Thanksgiving, Ms. Chen. I ended the call. 12 pairs of eyes stared at me. You're lying, Brianna said, but her voice wavered. You don't own a building. You drive a 10-year-old Honda. A paid-off Honda that's reliable and gets good gas mileage, I agreed. I also own a building that generates $186,000 annually in rental income. I prefer to invest my money rather than spend it on a new car every 3 years like some people. I looked at Dad. Where did you get the idea the family owned my building? His mouth opened and closed. You said, when you moved in, you said you'd found a family property. I said I'd found a property for my family, meaning me. You assumed I meant our family owned it. You never corrected us. Mom's voice rose. You never asked. You've been to my apartment dozens of times over 6 years. You've met my tenants. You've watched me handle maintenance issues, collect rent, deal with property management. You never once asked who owned the building because you decided you already knew. Aunt Linda cleared her throat. So when you said you were managing the property? I was managing my property, I said. As I own it. I'm the landlord. Kyle spoke up, trying to sound reasonable. Okay, but Natalie, you have to understand, Brianna's wedding is important. Family helps family. You could take out a loan against the building. To fund a $75,000 wedding? I laughed. No. You're being selfish. Brianna's eyes filled with tears, her signature move. It's my wedding. I've dreamed about this my whole life. Then you should have saved for it, I said calmly. Or chosen a venue within your budget. I'm not liquidating my primary asset so you can have ice sculptures and a live band. We raised you. Dad shouted, standing up. We fed you, clothed you, put you through college. You paid for 2 years of community college before telling me to get loans for the rest because Brianna needed private high school, I interrupted. I worked 3 jobs to graduate debt-free. You didn't contribute $1 to my last 2 years. That's not how I remember it, Mom said coldly. I have the loan documents showing 0 parental contribution. I also have the ledger where I tracked every dime I spent on this family over the past 8 years. I pulled up a spreadsheet on my phone. I've given you approximately $47,000. Car repairs, medical bills, property taxes when you fell behind, Christmas gifts, birthday dinners I hosted and paid for. Want me to keep going? The table was silent except for Uncle Tom's quiet whistle. And now you want to sell my building without my permission, I continued. You contacted a realtor. You made plans to evict me from my own property. You announced it at Thanksgiving like it was already decided. We thought, Mom started. You thought I was weak. You thought I'd just go along with it because I always go along with everything. You thought I had nothing because I don't brag about what I have. I stood up, gathering my purse. For the record, you can't sell my building. You have no ownership stake, no legal claim, and no authority to make decisions about my property. If that realtor contacts me, I'll be reporting her for attempting to list property without owner authorization. Where are you going? Mom demanded. We're about to eat. I've lost my appetite. I looked at Brianna. I'm sorry your wedding is expensive. I'm not sorry that I won't fund it. Try a budget of $20,000. You can have a beautiful wedding for that. I've seen it done. You're ruining my life. Brianna sobbed. No, I'm protecting my assets from people who think they're entitled to them. I grabbed my coat from the hall closet. Behind me, the shouting started. Dad's angry demands that I come back, Mom's tears, Brianna's hysterics, Kyle's attempts to mediate. Aunt Linda followed me to the door. Natalie, wait. I turned. She was the only one who'd never asked me for money, never made assumptions about my life. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. What you've built, the nonprofit, the property investments, you did that yourself. Don't let them make you feel guilty for succeeding. My eyes stung. Thank you. And for what it's worth, if they'd asked nicely instead of announcing they were stealing your property, you probably would have helped with the wedding anyway. You've always been generous. He was right. If Brianna had come to me honestly, explained her dream, asked for help, I probably would have contributed something. Not $75,000, but something. But they hadn't asked. They'd just taken. Happy Thanksgiving, Aunt Linda. Happy Thanksgiving, sweetie. My phone exploded over the next 3 days. Texts, calls, voicemails, emails. Dad demanded I stop this nonsense and do the right thing. Mom cried about how I was tearing the family apart. Brianna sent paragraph after paragraph about how I was selfish, cruel, jealous of her happiness. Kyle tried a different approach, sending me links to articles about family generosity and shared wealth. I didn't respond. The realtor did call me. Her name was Sandra, cheerful and upbeat. Hi. Your parents said you're ready to sell the Riverside property. I'm the only owner, I said. My parents have no claim. If they said otherwise, they lied. Don't list my property or I'll report you. Her tone changed fast. I'll need to confirm that. Thank you. She never called again. Then Uncle Tom phoned. Your dad's furious. Says you forged papers. The title company can prove I didn't. I know. I already checked. You've done well, Natalie. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? Dad doesn't respect success, he just wants to use it. Tom sighed. Probably true. I told him he's wrong. You don't sell your kid's property for a wedding. Thanks. He won't let it go. He thinks your money is family money. It's not. I know. But be ready for a fight. He was right. 2 weeks later I got a legal letter. It claimed my parents had a verbal agreement letting them use my building for family expenses. It was nonsense. I sent it to my lawyer Lisa. She replied with a strong letter. No verbal deal was valid, no claim existed, and further contact would lead to a restraining order. The letter stopped. But the gossip started. Cousin Michelle told me I was now greedy Natalie. The one who ruined her sister's wedding. Are your parents really struggling? She asked. No, I said. They bought a huge house, leased new cars, took a $20,000 cruise. They're not poor, they just spend too much. Michelle nodded. That sounds like your dad. Now he wants to fix it with my assets. That's awful. Yep. I wasn't invited to Christmas. Good. I spent the day volunteering at my nonprofit, feeding people who actually needed help. Later I had dinner with Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom. Brianna's showing everyone cheap venues, Aunt Linda said. Blaming you. How tragic, I said. Your mom cried at dinner, Uncle Tom added. Your dad's angry at everyone. And no apology? None. They're waiting for you to say sorry. Not happening. 3 months later I got a text from an unknown number. This is Kyle. Can we talk? I called. I owe you an apology, he said. I thought you were being difficult. Now I know the truth. Thank you. We're doing a small wedding. Backyard local restaurant. It'll be nice. That sounds great. Brianna's still upset, but she'll understand someday. If someone tried to take our house, I'd be angry too. I hope so. And Natalie, I respect what you've done. You built this yourself. That's impressive. My throat tightened. Thank you, Kyle. After the call, I sat on my balcony, my building below me. 6 apartments. 5 great tenants. Now worth $2.4 million. I'd built it myself, with Grandpa's gift, my savings and hard work. Then Aunt Linda texted. Brianna set the date, June 15th. Small wedding. She didn't say if you're invited. I stared at the message. Part of me wanted to reach out. But I remembered Dad's anger, Mom's tears, Brianna's entitlement. Maybe one day we'd fix things. But not now. Now I had tenants to help, a nonprofit meeting to run, and a new investment to check. This was my life. Earned, built, and protected. The deed had my name. The title was clear. The property was mine. Sometimes the strongest words aren't, I forgive you. Sometimes they're, this is mine. You have no right to it. And sometimes that's all that needs to be said.